It's a beautiful day in the Villages. I was just outside this morning talking to my neighbor. 9 o'clock in the morning, it's already 80-ish degrees. We have a nice breeze coming across, so it's nice and cool even though it's 80 degrees. The sun is out. It's just a great day. Then again, any day in the Villages is a great day. That's why we live here. I'm Gary McAdams with Barbara Anderson Realty, the Villages Realtor. Any of you that subscribe to my YouTube channel or that have watched any of my videos over the last few months have probably seen my offer I make on all the videos, where if they had bought a house from me on or before March 31st, I would contribute $1,000 of my commission to go right towards your closing costs. I did that and it went pretty well. I made 4 sales as a result of it, so I picked up some business. I made a little bit of money and I was able to save 4 different people $1,000 on their closing costs by buying their dream home in the Villages. It was a win-win situation for everybody. So I've decided to extend that. I'm going to continue that going until June 30th, 2023. Anyone who buys or sells a home with me anywhere in the Villages before June 30th, 2023, I will contribute $1,000 of my commission to go right towards your closing costs. We don't have to close by June 30th. If you're selling, the listing agreement just has to be signed by June 30th. If you're buying, the purchase for sale agreement has to be signed by June 30th. Then we can close whenever, and I will contribute that $1,000 to go towards your closing costs. So people ask a lot, what are closing costs? The seller generally has more money invested in closing costs than the buyer, but both have some. I'll go over them each at a time. We'll start with the seller. The seller's biggest cost is the real estate commission. That's standardly 5% or 6% of the gross sale price. I know you'll see it advertised all the time on the internet and on YouTube and in the newspaper. These discount brokers, I'll list your house for 3%, I'll list your house for 4%. You get what you pay for. What they do in most cases is for 3%, they will put your house on the MLS and advertise it. Then right in the remarks, they have what they call Realtor remarks that the consumer can't see, but the Realtors see them. It says right in the Realtor remarks, for all showings, offers, inspections, contact, and it gives the owner's name and phone numbers. They'd be contacting you directly. It'd almost be like you're selling it for sale by owner, except you have it in the MLS. And if you want to deal with all of the contracts and you're familiar with how to read and analyze a real estate contract, and you have a database of home inspectors and appraisers and things like that, then you can save yourself some money doing that. But most average home sellers don't have all that information right at the tip of their hands, so that's why they hire a real estate professional. Not to mention, statistics show that in most cases, hiring a real estate professional will get you more money. The amount of money more you'll get by hiring a realtor will exceed that additional 2% of the commission you'd get from using one of the discount brokers. So that would be your biggest closing cost as a seller, is roughly 5 to 6% of your gross sale price. Next thing would be any loans and liens that are paid off. If you have a mortgage on the house, if you owe any back taxes on the house, if you had a new roof put on the house, a new flooring installed with one of those companies that has, the two-year financing, that would get paid off. Your documentary stamps on the deed are paid by the seller. They gave us this full big formula in real estate school in the doc stamps, when I say doc stamps, that's the industry term for documentary stamps on the deed. You divide the sale price by 1,000, multiply it times 0.7, and you get your figure. I'm going to give you the real fast, easy one. For every $1,000 you spend, it's $7. Let's say you buy a house for $500,000. 500 times 7 is $3,500. Your documentary stamps on a $500,000 sale would be $3,500. Then is the title insurance. That varies location to location, state by state. Sometimes the seller pays the title insurance. Sometimes the buyer pays the title insurance. Sometimes the buyer and seller split the title insurance. Most common in the Villages is the seller pays the title insurance. Title insurance is $575 for the first $100,000 of the sale price, and then $500 per $100,000 after that. So using the same $500 sale price, your title insurance on a $500,000 home would be $2,575. That's $575 for the first $100,000, then $2,000 at $5 per $100,000 after that. Then they do a title and lien search as part of the title insurance. That's usually anywhere from $200 to $500. Your settlement fee, that will usually be anywhere from $400 to $600. They prorate your taxes. What that means is property taxes in Florida, you're billed in November. They're paid in arrears. So if you sold your house right now, the new owner would get your tax bill from last November up until next November. So the title company takes the amount of days going from November to November that you owned the house in the calendar year, though their calendar year, November to November. Break your taxes down to a per diem, which is how much you pay in taxes per day. Your annual taxes divided by 365. The amount of days that you have owned the house, they have you credit that to the buyer at closing because the buyer is going to get the bill for all of the taxes at the end of the year, well, in November. The day of closing standardly belongs to the buyer. That means the buyer pays the taxes effective the day of closing. Then I always tell everybody, just add another $2,000 for miscellaneous fees, FedEx fees, notary stamps, things like that, that all of a sudden at the last minute you didn't realize you had. So I tell most sellers, actually I tell buyers the same thing. We'll get to that when we get to the buyers. But most sellers, I tell you, just for miscellaneous, figure another $2,000. Now let's get to the buyer. If you pay cash, your closing costs can be very, very little. If you're paying cash, it can be a couple $100 or less. If you choose to get homeowners insurance, which if you're paying cash, you don't have to, and a lot of buyers do self-insure. But let's say you do get homeowners insurance. Most insurance companies with a new policy want you to pay it up front 1 year in advance. That's going to be your major closing cost. And that will vary based on the type of coverage you want, because when you don't have a mortgage, you can pick and choose what you want. If you have a mortgage, you have to get pretty well everything. On the very low end, your homeowner's insurance, if you just want basic liability, it'll probably be less than $1,000 a year. If you have a full insurance policy with everything on, say, again, I'll just use $500,000. That seems to be our standard norm here that we've been talking about. Full insurance in the Villages on a $500,000 house would probably be about $3,000 or $4,000 a year. My house is worth about $400,000. I don't have a mortgage on it, so I don't have everything. I have fire, I have wind, and I have liability. Mine's $2,100. So there's your pretty good breakdown of your insurance, unless you have a mortgage, then it would be different. With a loan, you have the tangible taxes on the new mortgage, which is 2% of what you borrow. So if you borrow $500,000, then you would be $10,000 there. Please excuse me for that. The recording fees on the new mortgage, that's only on the mortgage, would be 35 cents per $100,000 borrowed. So on a $300,000 mortgage, that would be $1,050 would be your recording fees on the new mortgage. Loan origination fees. A lot of times you'll hear that referred to as points. You ask for your interest rate, they'll tell you, oh, I can do 6% with 1 point. I can do 5% with 2 points. A point is basically 1% of the purchase price of the house. You're paying that up front to get a cheaper interest rate. Now, sometimes if you can get, they want you to pay 2 points to get an interest rate of 0.5% less, then that's not worth it. If they want you to pay 2 points and you get 3% less, that's very well worth it. You're still paying the interest, you're just paying it up front with one check at closing rather than paying it, over the life of your loan. Most mortgage companies will require you to get a full 4-point home inspection. That'll run anywhere from $400 to $600 on average in the Villages. The bank will require an appraisal if you're getting a loan. An appraisal will be anywhere from $400 to $500 on average in the Villages. The bank will require you to let them pull your credit report. Even though you can pull your own credit report for free, they charge you, depending on the bank, anywhere from $50 to $100 to pull your credit report. Then on the survey, you'll be required to have a survey. That will be anywhere from $300 to $600. One trick I tell a lot of buyers about that can save you buying the survey: if the people you're buying the home from have a reputable homeowners insurance company and they have a favorable rate, just go with them because they already have a survey on file. You can't get insurance without a survey in most cases. And if the company already has a survey, they can use the past survey. The survey is of the land itself, and the land doesn't change. So the land now is what the land was when the former owner bought it. So that can save you a little bit of money right there. Then the recording fees of the deeds, which depending on the price of your house will be anywhere from $500 on the low end to $1,500 on the high end in the villages. It all depends. The recording fees on a $300,000 villa are certainly going to be a lot less money than the recording fees on one of the lakefront houses on Lake Miona. That's $2.5 million. And then again, I tell everybody, just figure an extra couple $1,000s for last minute things that you weren't aware of that just came up. So just add that in, have that ready to go. And there's the basic breakdown of your closing costs. Now back to my offer: buy or sell your house with me on or before June 30th, 2023, and I will pay $1,000 of those closing costs for you right out of my commission. I have to pay it directly to the title company. I can't give it to you. That's beyond my control by Florida law. I can't actually compensate anyone with money that is not a licensed real estate broker. But I'll pay it right to the title company, or I'll pay it at closing right to your home inspector or survey if they'll allow you to pay it at closing. But buy or sell a home with me anywhere in the villages on or before June 30th, and I will contribute $1,000 of my commission to go right towards your closing costs. I'll make a little bit of money, you'll save a little money, and you'll get a beautiful home in the villages. Just give me a call, 352-809-8723. I'm Gary McAdams with Barbara Anderson Realty, the Villages Realtor.